Hello and welcome to the Inspiration Station. I'm Hazel Butterworth. This is Carmen Braga. And today's question is, do you keep your commitments to yourself? Do you?
Sometimes.
Is it easy?
No.
And how do you decide which ones you're going to keep?
Well, for me, when I think of, because there's many different definitions of the word commitment, but when I think of making a commitment to yourself, because I used to have addictions to smoking and to drinking back in my, I call it my other life. And for me, I had to make a big commitment to stop both of these things. And I did them both at the same time, cold turkey. And that was a huge commitment for me, but it was one that actually ended up changing everything in my life, really. So when I think of commitment, I think of when you're wanting to let go of a habit, right? Something that you just no longer want or need in your life. Mm-hmm. So it can be that, you can be addicted to pretty much anything. Of course, the normal ones would be smoking, drinking, drugs, alcohol, things like that. Coffee, yes. Yeah, I did quit that one too. So I did the 3 big ones already. And of course, food is another one. That's a big one for a lot of people too. And a lot of people don't realize that we're actually addicted to more than just these kinds of things. One of our biggest addictions is to our thoughts. We're addicted to thinking all the time. And when you think about it, you can hear that. And a lot of times it's those thoughts, it's that what I call an ego mindset that can trip you up when you're trying to make these commitments to yourself and stick to a plan to let go of something, right? Mm-hmm. That can really...
What is, like we talked before about addictions, and it's like, what is it to make a commitment? What does that look like for you? It's a promise. It's something that you've decided you're going to do, whether it's an everyday thing, whether it's something you're not going to do, like not drink anymore. Mm-hmm. And why is it sometimes it's easier to make a commitment than it is other times? And then looking at addiction, maybe you've made a commitment to the drink, to the smokes. It's easy to commit to that because mm-hmm. it's become a habit. And so, yes, I can commit to that. You have made a commitment to that because it's something that you're doing, and you can try and deny yourself, but no, you pull back into it. But when you really boil it down, what is a commitment? And if you want to make a commitment for change, or if you want to, who are you committing to?
Yeah.
Like, well, who is that to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be to somebody else, but typically it's to yourself.
Yeah.
You're making that commitment to yourself. You're making that promise to yourself to either stop something like a bad habit mm-hmm. or, clean up your life, change your life. Really.
Generally, there's a change in some way, whether it be mm-hmm. to stop something or to do something. And making that commitment could be that promise to yourself that you're going to do that. Mm-hmm. But what happens when we don't fulfill that commitment? What happens? What do we then do to ourselves? If I'm going to work out tomorrow, and I'm going to get up early, and I'm going to exercise in the morning. And then the morning comes around, and does it show up? Do we exercise? Do we make that commitment? Do we fulfill that promise? And then what's the consequence if we don't? So
guilt.
Guilt. Then it just kind of goes down the slippery slope, right? Yeah. But if you make a commitment, sometimes it's to have to look at the end result. If I commit to doing that, if I invest time and energy in whatever the activity or the promise is to yourself, what is it that you're really looking for? And then look at the end result. What is it that you want to achieve? Because mm-hmm. if I commit to getting up every morning and doing exercise, or if I commit to yoga, or if I commit to drinking more water, there is a benefit to me. I'm doing something that I feel improves me or mm-hmm. is a healthier choice. And if I don't do that, there's 2 ways you can go. You can either, as you say, go in the guilt and beat yourself up for not doing it. Mm-hmm. Or you can say, well, I had 1 glass of water today, or I exercised for 5 minutes. I did a little bit. And then tomorrow I'll commit a bit longer. You're laughing at me. Why you laugh, grasshopper? Why you laugh?
Because I've done that.
We're very good at that.
Yeah,
We promise
really.
ourselves so
Yeah.
much. So why is it we think maybe it's the word commitment that we're afraid of, because commitment could be an obligation. And if you make a commitment, then we're obligated and we have to do it then because we've obligated ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's reframing the words. Maybe it's being kind to ourselves and just choosing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, set your intention. Even if you get up and you don't quite exercise, at least I got up early today. So that's a bonus. And it's to celebrate and see the baby steps.
Yeah. Well, and oftentimes I think like with exercise, for example, we put the two together with weight. And we think of it as a diet thing that you know, if you're exercising, it's because you're on a diet or you want to lose weight or whatever the case may be, which a lot of times it is. But there's the other side where you just want to be healthy.
And that's a
And, you know,
bonus. I used to be super fit because I used to actually teach phys ed. You wouldn't, if you looked at me today, you'd say, Hazel, why aren't you excising?
Yeah, but you were in your, what, 20s then?
I was super fit. I was, yeah. And it's fantastic. And I
Time
see,
happens.
I know, but I see friends and family and that they're exercising more than I am now.
Mhm.
Because they, you know, it's, do you see that benefit in that? What is the advantage? And yes, absolutely right, a healthy body. Because if we move our muscles, then we're pumping our blood around, we're pumping the oxygen around,
Mhm.
we're keeping that circulation system going, even if it's just a walk. And if you can't physically get up because you have bad legs, maybe now they've got those little cubies that look really neat.
Yeah, I saw
Right?
those,
You can
yeah.
just sit there as long as you're in motion.
Yeah.
And that's a key word. But I know we're talking primarily exercise, but that's a key thing to keep your body in motion.
It's energy in motion.
Energy in
Because
motion.
we're energy, right?
Yes.
And yeah, you want to keep that flow going
Yeah.
in one way, shape, or form,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So yeah. The biggest thing when we make a commitment to ourselves, oftentimes really set yourself up for success right from the get-go. Because a lot of times, and I've done this where I've jumped in and just said, okay, tomorrow I'm going to start exercising. And then I do it one day, I might do it second day, and then I go, oh, I really don't like doing this. and you sabotage yourself. So for me, what I've done in the past is set myself up for success in the way of food, for example, is to set up a diet plan or a dinner plan kind of thing, not diet, but dinner.
You
So
schedule
a meal
it, plan
plan.
it.
That's the word I was looking for, was meal. And do your shopping ahead of time. And for people like me, who I like my sweets. So, but there's lots and lots of recipes for healthier sweets. And so what I did was I would commit like a Sunday, for example, to make those dishes and those things for myself for the week, so that things were quick and easy to grab. So I wasn't grabbing junk food all the time, you know. So
it takes preparation. It takes
does,
time
yeah.
and energy.
Mm-hmm.
So in that preparation too is to look at the motivation. What is motivating you? What is the catalyst that made you make that decision that either perhaps you want to change in some way, or B, you set yourself a goal and you're determined to reach that goal. We have a friend who's decided to run a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And posted, was it yesterday morning, that I really don't want to go out today, it's raining, it's yucky, who wants to go out and run in the rain? But you have to juggle that each day, and sometimes it's that self-talk, that conversation that you gotta have.
Well, and that can work both ways, right?
Absolutely.
Because the self-talk is what can either sink you or lift you up.
Swim you.
So one or the other. So that's
talk you into or talk you out of, because
so
you can make excuses, like phenomenal excuses. And when you really stop and look back and think about the excuses that you've made, I mean, are they really, really genuine? Or are they just like any little excuse? You know, oh, it's raining, so I can't go out today. Well, dress for the weather.
Yeah.
You can still go out, you know, but yeah, I might get my hair wet.
Yeah.
Well, is that such a big deal to get your hair wet? Then wear a rain hood, don't put a hat on, then your hair don't get wet, or take an umbrella, right? But we make excuses.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest one for not committing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we can start with that motivation, and we can start and we have that idea and that vision and that goal. but there's somewhere along the way, maybe we didn't achieve it the first day, and we,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the next thing is follow through. That's a big one. That's a big one, is once you've made that commitment, to follow through with that commitment. And I learned that, like, from a universal standpoint, I learned that when I quit drinking and smoking. Holy cow, because it took me several months to make my decision to do that. And I set the date. I knew exactly when I was going to do it. I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it in case I didn't. I didn't want anyone to know about it.
That's another thing too. Who do you tell, right? Because sometimes you tell people for the next part of our thing because you want people to know, because then they will help support you. But sometimes you want to do it just in case you don't follow through,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I kind of had a track record for not following through. So I didn't want to, if I was going to disappoint myself, that was one thing, but I didn't want to be disappointing anybody else.
Yeah.
And so I didn't tell anybody, you know, and for those first 4 days, I hallucinated and cried. It was not fun. But on that 5th day, I actually felt empowered for the first time in my life. And that's something that making a commitment will do for you, is it actually gives you back your power, because oftentimes we are giving away our power, especially if it's to an addiction or something. You're giving your power away to that thing that's outside of you. And here you're taking back your power, right? And that was a huge deal for me. And I found that when I made the commitment and I followed through on that commitment, honest to God, my life did a complete 360. Everything changed. At that time, well, had been 15 years alone, out of an abusive first marriage and stuff. And, you know, my life was a mess at that time. But by committing to myself to make these changes, I was basically saying to the universe, okay, I'm ready. And I said that, I'm ready. I want to change in my life. I don't want to live like this anymore. And I made that commitment to make that change. Well, the week after I went back to work, my husband now walked into the store and to buy furniture I ended up furnishing my entire house without even knowing I was going to live in it, which was pretty cool. And everything changed in my life, absolutely everything. So for me, it was like the universe moved mountains for me in order to show me that when you make that commitment to yourself and you follow through on that, amazing things can happen.
And for those that may be struggling with the word commitment, because it might mean an obligation, sometimes think about the words that you're using. And perhaps the word that you want to use is decision. When you actually make that decision, when is that deciding moment, that defining moment when you say, yes, I am going to do this? It's not like I want to try. You really have to frame it in a way that it's a very definite. We're not talking positive, negative, but it's not an intention. Like, I will do that one day. That's like, well, one day I will. One day I'll quit smoking. Yeah, I want to quit smoking. I want to quit smoking. But when you make that decision to quit, then that becomes that commitment. So maybe we think about that. Start with the decision. Decide what you want. Because in the past, you will have discovered that whenever there's a decision on the table, we talked earlier about the conversation in your head, well, what if this and what if that? Well, I could do this and I could do that, and you're all over the place. But once you make that decision, this is what I am, or I will be doing, or I'm going to do, or I'm, however you want to frame it, but the more definite, the better. This is what I am doing. Then the pieces can fall into place. When you make that decision, and then everything fell into place. Yes, you had to go through that 3 days of turmoil, 4 days, whatever. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always clarity. But you have to know where you want to, what's the end result, right? And then, as you say, follow through. You make your decision and make the commitment, and then you follow through. And follow through could be, what actions can you do? And it could be one baby step. It could be set your alarm. Well, I'll wake up early tomorrow. Right? I might not get out of bed, but I woke up early. Okay, so I'm setting that in my programming, in my psyche, that, okay, I'm waking up earlier every day. And then...
That's something I need to do. I like sleeping in.
It's like, don't hit the snooze button. I mean, that's the worst thing you could do, really. I know we all do it, but it's like, that's the worst thing. If you're awake,
I don't have that on my clock anymore. I used to be a really bad one for that.
Or reset it. Oh, I'll have another half hour,
Yeah,
right? The only person that you're fooling really yourself.
Mhm.
But anyway, making that decision of following through and taking whatever steps you can to take you in that direction.
Mhm.
And it could be a baby step, it could be a leap. You could just say, like, I'm feeling so motivated, I'm so committed, I'm going to do this. And you could do like you do and say, I'm quitting, full stop. And you went through that, and that was period. How many people have said they're going to quit smoking? And how many times have they tried?
Yeah.
But somewhere in here, they weren't fully committed.
Yeah, well, I did that many times.
Yeah, and it's that ever rolling cycle,
Mhm.
because there is an aspect, there's a part of you that wants to achieve something, but we're not fully on board with it.
Yeah.
Right? Or we set ourselves up for failure because maybe the end result is too far a reach at the moment. So then bring that goal closer so that you can achieve it, and then just keep extending it.
Mhm.
And as you expand and as you go through that, then you keep evolving through that. Commitment's a funny word, right? It's it's that fear of obligation. I have to now.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
I have to.
Yeah, and well, when you say the word commitment, I also think of relationships.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
That's a big one that I think a lot of people face with relationships, because if you've been hurt before, right?
You're afraid to commit.
Really, you're so afraid to commit to somebody else again out of fear of that, and that's a big one for
It is,
a
and
lot of
society has changed a lot now. I mean, in my day, because I've also common. In my day, you got married or you got a job, and that was it for life type thing. And regardless of whether you liked it or not, you were committed. And I think part of that has rolled over into our, the younger generations. Is that's what commitment looks like. Is I'm stuck. I'm in that relationship and I have to be in it. I'm stuck in that job and I have to be, because I made a commitment to that, to get married, or I made a commitment to that career. And then since then, like in the 70s, 80s, things started to change. And in the 20s, and that is like, it's so different, because in our day, you had one career, and then you'd have maybe 3 careers. Now, everyone's jumping ship and dancing all over the place, because they go and do this for a while, and then they go do that for a while. And it's not necessarily they're not making a commitment, but society's changed so much that some of those jobs don't exist anymore. So we're forced to jump ship. But making that commitment, it's not a life sentence.
Well, I was just
It's
thinking,
not a life sentence.
a lot of people, I think, when you think of the word commitment, do you think drudgery? Like, this is just like, I have to stay at that job. I
don't
have
have
to
a
stay in
choice.
this marriage. I have to do this. I have to lose weight. I have to do whatever. And that becomes like a drudgery to a lot of people.
I have to, not that I want to.
Exactly.
I'm being
and I think
forced
that's where the disconnect comes in. Is when you think that you're being pushed or forced into something that you don't want to do, you're going to push back. Right?
And you're not going to commit to anything.
You're going to allow for that self-sabotage to come in every single time.
And then it translates not just in that unit or that faculty in your life, but it will translate the word commitment in every aspect of your life. And it could be committing to a friendship. It could be committing to writing, doing your homework, putting our projects together and making that commitment that you're going to give so many hours a day to something. It could be anything. So our question to you is, what are you committed to? What do you like? Do a little journal and look at what you are already committed to, or what you feel you're committed to, and then check in. Is it drudgery, or is it something you want and choose to do, or do you have to do it? So see if you can determine what your commitments are already, and how invested are you in those commitments, and how motivated you are for those commitments. And just view that with your existing ones, and then understand that process for you. Because once you understand that will help you then to make new commitments, because you will approach it with a different awareness, a different understanding. And when you commit, or because you choose to commit, you want to commit, you see the value in doing it, you see an end result, you know it's healthier for whatever reason, but you have more clarity on commitment. And it's not so scary.
Well, and I think that's part of it too, is when we commit to something, we're usually committing to change, right? And people have gotten so used to being afraid of change.
Not just change or a continuance. Because you can commit, you can do something and you find, I really like this, I'm going to commit to it. So it's not always change.
No, it's not always change, but I'm saying a lot of times it is.
Yes.
You know, in my case, there was a big change.
Yes.
And I didn't know where that was going to result. I didn't know what was going to come of that.
Yeah.
You know, but so it can be either or.
Yeah.
Right.
But it could be that you're committed to something and challenges might come up, and part of you say, well, is this worth it? But if you're really committed to achieving that, or that is your passion, then you'll work through those challenges because you are committed. Right. So again, we're just showcasing you how many different scenarios there can be, and how many things it can apply to, and how many perceptions there are of it. And that's part of our role, is to bring that awareness to you, so that you can then gain more clarity for yourself.
Well, and one of the biggest things to making a commitment to something, holding yourself accountable for it. Holding yourself accountable. And that's something I see time and again with people, is that accountability, that lack of accountability, that people don't know how to hold themselves accountable. And it's really holding yourself responsible to that commitment, right? You're saying, this is what I want to do. Well, make it happen, right? And so that accountability part is pretty big with a lot of people.
Taking responsibility and accountability. And again, it could go two ways in the sense, because in this duality world, right? It could be I lost my word for a second, the consequences, right? So being responsible, taking accountability, but some people might have a fear because if they're not, there's consequences, and it could be the fear of the consequences, or it could be the joy of the consequences, because if I'm responsible and I commit, then I'm going to have these amazing results. Or it could be, if I commit, then, oh, what if I don't? And you can go back in that drudgery and what's the consequences, and the fear of failing, the fear of those consequences becomes a bigger motivator. What if I fail? Then you don't commit.
Yeah. And to me, you know what? Take failure right out of your vocabulary, because honest to God, you cannot fail if you're trying something. If you try, you can't fail. You've actually succeeded at trying something. So it didn't go the way that you thought it was going to go. No big deal. Redirect, regroup, and try something different.
I like Einstein's, when Einstein said, I found 100 ways that it doesn't work, till he found the one that did. So it's like, you know what, that one didn't work, okay, we need to tweak this, do that. It doesn't stop you. If you have that motivation, that drive, that commitment to create something, then that becomes your motivating force. And so it's not a failure. It's not a failure because now you know for sure that doesn't work. So you cross that one off your list.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right, so,
but one of the biggest things when you're embarking on something like this, like making a commitment to yourself, following through, doing all of that, one of the biggest things that I can't stress enough, listen to your self-talk, because that ego mindset is almost always going to jump in and give you the excuses. But when you actually pay attention to what your mind is saying to you, check in and ask yourself, is this actually going to help me, or is this actually going to derail me? And 9 times out of 10, if you're listening to your ego, it's trying to derail you in a sense, and knock you off of that commitment path.
It also gives you that opportunity to see, you know, they say, oh, don't like negative people or pessimistic people, but they're offering a point of view, and that's all it is. Ego is saying, hey, here's a point of view, and then you make your choice, because we have free will. So it's like, thanks, ego.
To pay attention.
You listen, and you pay attention, and then you make your choice.
Well, but the problem is a lot of times honest to God, we believe every thought that we think, and we take it as gospel, like we really do. But it's not that way. In fact, it's a lot of it, if you look at it for the truth of what it is, a lot of it, it's kind of lies in a sense that it's not telling you the truth, and it's not for your highest good in a lot of cases.
It's not
So
always
it's just
the absolute truth.
to pay attention
Yeah.
to what your mind is telling you, for what your thoughts are saying and things like that. It's just important to be a witness to that, right? So
I would encourage you to listen to the thoughts, but check in with your feelings as well. And if you're making choices and decisions, look at your motivation. Look at the value in doing what you're doing. How is that helping and benefiting you? And does it feel good? If it feels good and it feels that this is what you want to do, regardless of what other people say, whether it's ego or your neighbor, if this is what you choose to do and you feel strongly and it's motivating and it's for your highest good, and that could mean many things, but if it's something that you feel really passionate about and make that choice and that decision, then commit to it and follow through, and you will succeed.
well, and pay attention. Do you feel empowered when you're doing this, like I did? Like that was huge for me, and that was actually my driving force, was the fact that I felt empowered for the first time in my life.
Is it like
And
feeling great? Yes. Yeah.
well, I actually, because I finally took responsibility for myself and my actions and did something about it, and I hadn't before. I kind of skated under the radar before that.
Big step.
Yeah.
Big step. And again, fear-driven. All the times that we don't commit and follow through, or as I say, the excuses. So.
But well, in my case, anyways, it was a life changer.
Yeah.
It really was, and it can be. For anything that you're going through, it can really change your life for the better. So yeah.
Okay, so today, are you committing to yourself? Are you willing to commit? Are you keeping those commitments? What are they? Have a look at what you're already committed to or feel you're committed to. And is that something you want to continue with? Does it feel good? Is it motivating you? Does it have benefits and value to you? If not, then that's your choice. And then look at any new commitment that you're debating right now, if you want to make those changes, and have a look at how are you going to bring those about. So check in with ego, look at the excuses, look at the procrastination, look at all those things, and then you make the decision and you just commit to it and you go for it. Because if you can commit and go for it, then you will reap the rewards.
Set yourself up for success. Don't fall back on, I failed before. So
no failure.
That's the thing. Detach from that past. Today's a new day. It's the only day that exists. Today, start fresh.
Be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
All right. And on that note,
we will sign off.
We'll say thank you for being with us today.
Yes.
Please send us questions. You can connect to us on our website at www.healingheartscenter.ca, or you can connect on our Facebook, Ignite Peace Within, or Healing Hearts Center, Healing Hearts page. So many ways you can connect to us. If you have a specific subject or a specific question, please let us know, and we will gladly address that for you.
Yeah. And if you're needing help letting go of some of these things, making
a
commitments,
commitment,
we can help you.
Yeah.
Because we've been there.
Yeah.
on many levels.
Yeah, on many levels.
Yeah.
So please check us out, and it's lovely to be with you again. And till next time, be kind to yourself.
Have a great day. Bye.